So I had a conversation with someone on Twitter, an MRA, and this guy's pretty typical of most MRAs. And to be honest, it's pretty frustrating because I want to make progress, and the men's rights movement is not making progress. It's not. And the meek enablers of feminism are in the men's rights movement, and they're concern trolling, they're tone policing, and they're making the same mistakes over and over again. And this guy wasn't necessarily tone policing me per se, but most of these people do. So this guy on Twitter, he just raises concerns and uses false framing. It's like, oh yeah, women have issues too, they have these concerns too, but what about this for men, blah blah blah, which is false framing. Women don't have systematic institutional issues. Women have complete and utter privilege. There's no other group in history that has been as privileged as women, period. Their cultural hegemony over society is absolute, right? And it's only because men are so meek, mild and passive. So anyway, this guy, who I won't name because I'm not sure if he wants to be named or not, I'm not sure if he wants his Twitter account named, so I won't bother. So he was posting a tweet, he sort of criticising Me Too is going too far, but he implied that it was a no, or he outright stated or implied, I can't remember exactly, but very heavily implicated that Me Too was had noble intentions from the start, had good goals at the start, it was actually addressing legitimate issues at the start, and it went awry, which is the pendulum, the pendulum of the fallacy of the pendulum swung too far, which is very common. Feminism was never a moderate movement, and I showed this guy links that he probably didn't look at, proving it. So we had a conversation, and it ended up with him just saying, "Oh, you can't hate all women, you can't judge all women. There are good women out there," which is a complete non sequitur because I wasn't talking about women personally. But we'll get to that. But we'll get to the Me Too thing first, and I'm going to say how fucking absurd this logic to excuse Me Too is. Okay, so for the sake of argument, let's say there's a woman who has legitimately been raped and abused, right? If she wants justice, she goes to the police. She doesn't go to a hashtag to rumour spread. Actually, under a decent legal system, okay, rumour spreading, someone going onto to Twitter to rumour spread against someone, or to actually be evidence against the accuser, saying like they behaved like this. If they're really abused, why don't they go straight to the police, right? And they can't go, oh, it's because of shame. I didn't report it to the police because of shame. No, you went straight to Twitter. Yeah, go to the fucking police then, right? Okay, but it shows to me that when you go to Me Too hashtag, you're not serious and you haven't been abused. So Me Too was founded by a black feminist woman who hates men. And let's look at the pattern of behaviour of feminists. Feminists hate men and have been defaming men and lying about men with false statistics for decades before Me Too ever existed. Right? So it's absolutely fucking absurd. Absolutely fucking absurd. Right? To go, well, this movement created by hateful people who hate men, right, who lie about men, when they first set up this hashtag to rumour spread and gossip about men and defame men, right, basically gang stalk them online, when they set up the hashtag to do that, it had noble intentions from the start, then it went awry. It's like, so you now admit that it's going awry and they're using it to slander and hassle men, right? But somehow when he made it at the start, it wasn't. It doesn't make one fucking lick of sense. People don't change their behaviour like that, right? Jesus Christ, so bloody stupid, so bloody stupid. Let me use an analogy, right? Okay. If someone's been a victim of crime at the hands of a black person, right? He doesn't go on Twitter and tweet the KKK to deal with the problem for him personally then lynch the black person, and he doesn't get to go, oh yeah, well, I'm just addressing the crime problem. People wouldn't accept that for a second. They'll know he was a bigot and he was probably lying about being a victim of crime in the first place. Yeah? You don't use online hashtags and rumour spreading to address criminal complaints. Period. And the legal system is biased in favour of women anyway. So to go on to these hashtags and claim that women don't get justice is hate speech and a lie. It's a lie. Okay. Now, this guy, what he ended up doing is going, oh, there are good women out there, blah, blah, blah. He's just talking about how he got along with women personally, how he trusts them and all this shit. Complete non sequitur. And what this guy revealed to me when he did that, he was basically saying to me, I'm uncomfortable stating the truth about female nature, bluntly, because it means I can't, if I'm honest with myself, I'm admitting that women can't be ethical, so I can't demand that they be ethical, right? Because I still want to like women. So he can't compartmentalise his sexuality and his desire to be with women and to have acceptance from women. He can't compartmentalise it. He can't split it from his activism. I can, right? Okay. So I'm gonna watch about 5 minutes of this video with Trevor, because this is an old video from 3 years ago, and he's replying to a video from 4 years ago. So he's replying to a 7-year-old video. And men's rights activists keep on making the mistake. We've got to spot the patterns, and we've got to change our fucking behaviour. Because if we're not firm, if we're not insistent on consistent ethics, and rejecting Me Too is consistent ethics, rejecting online lynch mobs, you're useless. You can't reject the feminist position outright. They're going to carry on being feminists. There has to be social pressure on feminists to stop being feminists. You can't just beg them, psychopaths nicely, not to be feminists. Like, you can't just beg racists nicely not to be racist, right? Racists had to be pressured out of being racists socially. The same's going to have to happen to feminists, or feminists are going to carry on growing forever and ever and get worse and worse. So just watch this for 5 minutes with me.
Now, lately I've been doing quite a few videos on the MRM, and I think this is an important thing to point out. The MRM has been a failure for 50 years. And primarily, I'm going to coin this term, olive branchers. The MRM is filled with olive branchers. And this gentleman here, Mark Postgate, is a perfect example. 50 years ago, the MRM were always holding up the olive branch and having it slapped out of their hands.
Yeah, so feminists have got social dominance, right? They're in complete control, they're winning, okay? So they're going to just spit in our faces when we offer to surrender to them. Because that's what the olive branch is. It's an offer of surrender on slightly nicer terms. That's all it is, and we're not going to get them, right? Why should they? And they're also, I think, I'm going to be honest here, I think 20 to 40% of women are just psychopaths. I think psychopathic traits are more common in women than they actually are in men. And lots of men are psychopaths as well. I'll say about 10 to 20% of men are psychopaths on some level, right? Because I don't think psychopathy is defined correctly, exactly. There's more to psychopathy than just direct one-to-one lack of empathy, right? Like lacking empathy for a group or people in an abstract and saying hateful things about them. That violates ethical consistency. That's on the psychopathy spectrum as far as I'm concerned, right? So yeah.
And that's why the gender war or war between the sexes don't exist. It's just men getting curb stomped by the opposite sex.
And the curb stomping is going to get stronger and stronger. The only place that there's a gender war being fought is South Korea right now. Because the brave men of South Korea are actually doing something, while we're just trying to grovel to feminists, yeah?
And this is the kind of thing you got to drum out of it. Now, let's hear just a little bit from Mark, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Now imagine you're a single mother.
Oh, sorry. I need to give you some context. He's talking about child support, the man being divorced and being forced to pay child support or an alimony.
And you know the only way that you can keep your head above water financially is to make your ex-husband suffer. It's the only way.
No, that's not the only way though, is it? It's you're making excuses, fucking ridiculous. So I'm actually going to explain the motives behind divorce and alimony and child support and parental alienation. Okay, so first of all, a woman can just like put a man on child support and pocket the money and just be selfish. Doesn't he's suffering from that, but she doesn't need to survive with it, especially in the West. Right, okay, but she's doing it for sadism because they don't just take the money. A lot of these women, like, it's not like, oh yeah, I'm getting money out of him, I'm just going to ignore him and move on with my life and just pocket the cash. They like parentally alienate him, right? They parentally alienate him. They just play games with him. Okay, it's sadism. Actually, the secondary motive is actually financial. This is a cope. Oh no, these women are desperate. They need the money. No, women actually have privileged access to the job market over men. Single mothers can get jobs easier than men, right? Single mothers just can shack up with a new man as well, right? They're doing this out of sadism. Women are higher social dominance orientated than men. Women are dominant, men are submissive.
Can make ends meet is to inflict suffering upon your ex-husband.
No, because you don't have to like suffering could be a byproduct of it. Yeah, they want the money, but that's not it. It's the sadism comes before the money, right? It comes before the money, and actually a lot of women actually lose out in divorces because they disrupt things so much and destroy things so much. The man can't provide anymore, and he collapses, but the woman still wins, right? She's burnt the man down, basically, metaphorically speaking, like he's a building. Yeah, she's destroyed, caused chaos. Yeah, sadism.
That would only lead you to dehumanising.
Dehumanisation started when the relationship started. If women did dehumanise men in relationships, they wouldn't expect any gender roles from men in relationships. That's the dehumanisation. It started from the very start. It's not, I love you, let's share burdens equally, or you do a bit more of the work, but I won't demand too much off you, so we both don't have to work too much, right? No. Like in the UK, married men work twice as much as married women on average in hours, right? It's like it's a ridiculous amount. Actually, Britain's like actually one of the worst. Britain is actually, in that regard, is one of the most tradcon countries in the world. One of the most feminist countries in the world is also one of the most tradcon countries in the world, because feminism and tradconism are similar movements. Tradconism is not even a movement, but they're very similar mindsets. Okay, they're both on the female supremacy spectrum. They just disagree on the tactics of the female supremacy.
You'd have to deal with the cognitive dissonance.
There's no cognitive dissonance. What the fuck are you on about? If you don't know what the word means, don't use it. Cognitive dissonance means having two contrary ideas in your head, right? Okay, you're overthinking it. You think, oh, this woman's trying to rationalise something complicated. No, I want the money. I want the man out of my life, and I want to stick it to him because I hate him, right? And I enjoy torturing him. That's not cognitive dissonance, right? It's straight up spite and sadism.
Imagine if you're an absent father.
Again, no, it's not absent father, it's discarded father, booted away father, right? Marginalised father, okay? Like, absent father, like, again, child support creates the so-called absence, because before child support, women were not able to boot men away from their children so easily. Now they get incentivised and paid to do it. Okay.
Some of you may not need to imagine this, you may know exactly what it's like. But imagine you're an absent father, and you know the reason that you're struggling is because the money you need to live on is going to your ex-wife. Well, that can only produce resentment.
No, wow, men resent women who like parentally alienate them. Okay.
It's essential to the welfare of our children and separated partners able to be friends.
No, you're trying to personalise it and grovel and beg when this is an institutional problem. Women should be stopped from parentally alienating and gatekeeping the kids, right? It's just that simple. And also, I think kids should actually go to the father. It should either be gender neutral or it should favour men, right? So we actually give kids to the worst worst group, mothers. Mothers are actually the worst group. Mothers who are willing to divorce and parentally alienate are going to have psychopathic traits, right? Borderline personality traits, and we're giving children to these women, right? And we wonder why children turn out damaged. Yeah? Okay.
Now, see what Mark is doing here? He's trying to take the blame off the average woman who's doing this to her husband and putting it on the system.
Yeah, women set up the system to benefit them, and men did it along with them because they're complicit, because most men are anti-male. We took the average, especially right-wing male, but even left-wing male, we took the average left-wing male, you talk about child support, they'll start talking about deadbeat dads, which is actually a very offensive term, right? It's actually just as bad as the N-word as far as I'm concerned, but they'll just start in a non-sequitur manner as well. It doesn't make any sense, right? You talk about fathers pushed away, willing to be with their kids, right? Not being able to see them. They'll just stop talking about deadbeat dads in a non-sequitur manner. Yeah?
I see this a lot, too. Everyone's blaming the system. The system is the way it is because the women want it that way. That woman doesn't have to go to her husband and drain out of him. She can go to welfare.
Yeah, she can get a job. She can hook up with a new man, right? Single mothers are housed for free in most Western countries, even not all of them. There's lots of things she can do, yeah? And the thing is, she really shouldn't have the option to be a single mother and take the kids away, right? Okay? The partner that wants to break up for no good reason should lose custody of the kids, right?
She can go to the government.
It could be a gender-neutral law, but it'll go against women most of the time because they're the ones that break up relationships more for frivolous reasons, yeah? And of course they should be allowed to separate, but it should be controlled and monitored because the kids come first. Like, you're not allowed, like, a woman can't just get up and leave and go to another country or another part of the world. Her options should be limited. The interests of the kids come first, right? Yeah, she should stay near the father. What's convenient for him for working? Yeah, that's how it should work. Oh no, there's freedom. No, you don't have freedom as a parent. It applies to men and women. Yeah, okay. Don't have kids. Kids come first. If I had a society I was in charge of, it would put kids first. Kids first, then men, because men look after kids better, then women. That's how it would actually work. Okay? It would be a more egalitarian society than what we have now, but it would still favour men over women. And I'll explain how in a future video. I'm going to explain my political ideas in more in depth.
The government gives to women all the time. So any woman who's draining her husband dry with child support is doing.
So let me put it this way: my society, how it's structured, women who actually didn't practice female gender roles on men would have more or less complete equal rights with men, right? So it'll be structured to like give jobs to men first and jobs to women who are committed to the jobs. Like these flaky women who get into jobs and then just drop out and push men out at higher education and don't get work. It'll be set up to filter those women out. Jobs have to go to men first. That's a radical thing to say, but I'm sick of this like false equality narrative. Men and women are not in the same situation socially. Society has to be engineered to get men's status of some sort. Okay, even if it's just a little bit. Okay.
Doing it because she wants to do it to him. And of course, Mark Postgate he's a perfect example of those MRAs who, of course, want to extend the olive branch.
Yeah, it's a perfect metaphor by City Crusher, by the way. This is actually a very good video. I'm not going to show all of it, but I'm going to link it. You should watch this video when you're done watching this one. I'm going to talk more about the history of men's rights. I'm going to go to Razorblade Candy's videos and Barbarossa's and Stardust's videos and watch them and react to them and try and put it into historical context, the men's rights movement, because there's actually a lack of self-awareness in men's rights. It's just the same mistakes over and over again.
No, you're not doing this to me because you don't like me, like so many women do in divorce.
It doesn't matter if they like him or not. They're still doing it. Like the boss who exploits his worker and takes the piss out of him might not necessarily hate the worker, but he's still doing it. Yeah.
Or that you hate me. It's because there's this system that's making you do it. Now this is something. His videos are older, but they're not that old. This is only 4 years old.
Yeah. So that's all for now. So yeah, so the guy on Twitter I'm talking to, who I'm going to link this video to, just reflect and be honest with yourself. You've got to compartmentalise your desires, right, and keep it separate from your political activism. And you are actually the extremist, not me, because you're trying to grovel to feminists, right? Oh, we've got to talk to feminists, right? And reason with them. They're moderate ones. Oh yeah, Me Too was valid in the past. And all the oh yeah, feminism was valid in the past. And the two earlier waves were valid, even though I presented you proof that they weren't. And feminism more or less always been the same. Feminism, at its core, has been exactly the same since the second wave. There's actually no theoretical differences between the waves, really. The only major difference is intersectional feminism, which is actually not theoretical. Intersectional feminism is actually not an ideology, it's a political tactic, right? Okay? And I don't know enough about first wave feminism, but first wave, I do know enough to say that it was hateful. And I doubt there was that many theoretical differences between the first and second wave, but since the second wave, because I've read second wave feminist books, and I've studied the history more, since the second wave, feminism's more or less been the same. It hasn't changed. So to say, oh, the earlier ways of feminism were based is completely wrong. And also, we've got to reject feminism 100% because there's no such thing as partial feminism being correct. It's fundamentally wrong. There's no such thing as partial Nazis being correct, right? The false narrative that men have a patriarchy and they oppress women and they abuse women systematically and institutionally is not only hateful, it's false. It's demonstrably false. 100%. 100%. So something that's just false, you can't negotiate with, and you can't build a philosophical foundation on it either. There's no debate to be had, because if you have a debate, you've got to go, yeah, this is false, this is false, this is false. And if the feminists were honest, they'll go, yes, that is. I was wrong. I can't be a feminist anymore. And they don't do that, do they? So yeah, I doubt this person will learn, because they never do. If he's going to change, it's going to take a long time. He's either going to fail and fail and fail over and over again and give up, or he's going to fail and fail and fail and reflect and change. It's one of the two. We'll see though. Okay, over and out.